Hello everybody, back again with another video. Decided to mix it up a little bit this time. We wanted to hear from you. So I had posted on my Facebook page that I was going to be doing this Q&A so that I could actually answer some of your questions. So I got some questions. Thank you so much for everybody who responded. Let's get started. So the first question comes from Stacy Weld. Thank you for your question, Stacy. I read that the governor's salary wasn't reduced even though he had said he would. Any information on this? So here's what we know. According to what was reported, the only constitutional officer, elected officer that actually took a pay cut was the controller, Betty Yee. This was pointed out to the governor, and he basically stated that it was an oversight. And so he was going to correct that, and the way he was going to do that, he was going to send a letter directing that this be taken care of, I think, through controller's office. So he acknowledged it, and that was his response, and that's what's been reported to this point. Thanks again for the question. The next question comes from Josh Allenson. Thank you, Josh. Should one expect to receive the $260 healthcare differential if they are enrolled in a CalPERS healthcare plan while on industrial disability leave? So the answer for this, basically, the only thing we have to go by is what is stated directly in the side letter. And in the side letter, it addresses the primary carrier. If the member is the primary carrier of the insurance for the family, they're eligible. But what it doesn't say, it doesn't really address what happens if a member is on SDI or industrial disability. So my suggestion, definitely check with your personnel specialist, but also call the MRC. Definitely do that. Thanks again for the question. Next question comes from Francis Lopez Griego. And Francis writes, why are we being taxed at 38%? So again, this would be in reference to the healthcare differential. And so we have the breakdown so you can actually see what the taxation is on the differential. But the short answer to the question is the differential was paid to us as a separate check, similar to a bonus or an overtime check. And because of that, it's taxed at the higher rate. Thanks again for the question, Francis. Okay, the next question, this comes from Dan LaDolce. And Dan writes, why do state agencies that do not use government funds to pay salaries or are self-funded still receive pay decreases? The state receives $0 from my 10% pay decrease. So Dan, the short answer to that question would be, we all work for state agencies. We're all subject to the authority of the governor, and I believe that what they're going to do, or what they want to do, is they want to basically share the pain and spread that out rather than selectively choose who would be impacted by pay cuts. Thanks for the question. The next question comes from Robert Wolf. Just got paid. Weren't we supposed to get our checks fixed with more deductions for what they didn't take out enough of last check? Was it only certain people's checks, or now will we have a 2-month chunk taken out next month? So Robert. So thank you for the question. The answer for this comes from SEIU, and they put out a memo last month, and basically in that memo, they acknowledged an error within their system. So the answer was to make an adjustment in this check. So what you should see is the correction in this check, and hopefully they'll have all of the stuff fixed and everything figured out going forward into next month. Thanks for the question, Robert. Okay, so the next question comes from Blake Cunningham. Can I be forced to take my PLP if I'm over the cap? Thanks for the question, Blake. Basically, per the side letter agreement, PLP days have to be used first, with the exception of sick leave. You are required to use your PLP days first. So thanks again for the question. The next couple of questions, I feel like these questions kind of go towards the culture of SEIU Local 1000. So I kind of grouped these in this section. I'm going to call it culture change. First question. This comes from Paul Wegner. So there's an active bill, AB 1253, that would level a 1%, 3%, and 3.5% income tax against incomes over 1 million, 2 million, and 5 million respectively. It's being marketed as a tax against California's large amount of multimillionaires and billionaires. This would be a general income tax and is not set aside for any specific project. If passed, this can be used as a lever to eliminate the pay cuts. And if so, can SEIU start funneling resources to get it passed? Thanks. So I'm going to answer the question like this. Local 1000 has a political department. Unfortunately, I'm not involved in any of the meetings regarding the activities, the plans, who the local is supporting, what initiatives. That information, I don't receive that information from Local 1000. However, as a board member of SEIU California, which is the coalition of all locals in California, all SEIU affiliated locals in California, that's where I get the information from. I don't get it from Local 1000. I'm not involved in those meetings. I should be, but I'm not. Thanks for the question. The next question comes from JD. Mr. Owens, how is it that SEIU Local 1000 was able to decide to do a revote when Unit 11 made it clear by getting a majority no vote on the contract that we wanted to take our chances back at the bargaining table? So first of all, thank you for the question, JD. This is something that I know a lot of Unit 11 folks are wondering the exact same thing. So if you look at the policy file, it actually lays out the process of what is supposed to happen if a bargaining unit rejects the tentative agreement. In that instance, per the policy file, those bargaining unit members are entitled to have their turn at the table with CalHR. If you go back and look at the comments from our president during this time, there were some meetings that were held at some point where they actually, the president and the bargaining unit leaders, the chair and the leadership of bargaining unit 11, they had some meetings and they decided that rather than allow to follow the process and allow for Unit 11 to actually go back and negotiate with CalHR, they just decided that instead we do a revote. Why they did that, I don't know. I can only go by what was reported. And according to what was reported, President Walker stated it was because Unit 11 members were misinformed. They didn't understand what they were voting on. That's the explanation that was provided. So thanks again for the question. Next question. Is it true that the vice presidents do not have access to members' information? It is true. The vice presidents, we've been denied access to member information from day one, since we were elected. In fact, it literally took 2 years just to get an org chart. An org chart. Who does what? What are people working on? What are their titles? What are their roles and responsibilities? We just received the org chart at the board of directors meeting a month ago. That's how it works at Local 1000 today. Next question. Why are the VPs, the vice presidents, not featured on the SEIU website? Okay, so first of all, previously on the SEIU Local 1000 website, the vice presidents were featured on the front page for their entire term. That's not the case with the 3 new vice presidents. If you want to actually find us on the site, you literally have to search. Coincidence? I think not. Okay, so the next question comes from India Fane. Are we able to recall Yvonne Walker before the next election? Thank you for the question, India. First of all, a recall would not be feasible with the election like right around the corner. Obviously, many members are not happy with our president, whether it's the pay cuts, the contract that we signed in August, or the union's response to the pandemic, the worst health crisis our country has ever seen, the advocating for our members during this time. A lot of people are upset. My suggestion is to focus on the upcoming elections. You can't change the culture without changing the people. Thank you so much for your questions. I'll see you in the next video. Be good.